Hi, guys, welcome back. Today is Thursday, April 2nd, and today's math lesson is going to be showing you how to compare decimals. This is lesson 12.3 in our text, and our ultimate goal today is to show you how that you can compare decimals by making some reasonings about their size. The cool thing about comparing decimals is that there's a few different options that you have to choose from, a few different strategies, and you can pick the one that works best for your learning style. So we're going to start by reading an example. Fred ran the 100-meter race in 10 and 11 hundredths seconds. Tana ran the same race in 10 and 9 hundredths seconds. So who has the faster time? Now, the important thing to talk about when we're comparing decimals, they have to refer to the same whole. And I'm just going to emphasize that. So Fred and Tana both ran a 100-meter race. If they had run different races that were not equal to 100 meters, we couldn't really be comparing them. So it has to refer to the same whole. So one option that we can use is to use a hundredths grid like we've been learning about. And that's a very visual model, but it's a little time consuming. Another option is just to kind of think about the place value that the digits hold and to make reasonings based off of that. And the third option is to start at the left and go digit by digit and notice where the place values are different. I have to say that this one right here, option 3, tends to be my favorite because I think it's quick and it's easy and it's generally like very accurate. So you can pick which one works best for you. So I'm going to show them all to you today. Let's try first by using the hundredths grid. Now, I am going to have this hundredths grid represent our guy Fred, and this one over here will be Tana. Now, they both ran, okay, if we look over here, they both ran 10 whole seconds. And then, so the 10 is, I'm going to kind of just put that in here, like a 10 plus, because I could draw out 10 whole hundredths grids for Fred, and I have to draw like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and like color them all in. But these are both the same. So I'm not going to bother with that. And I'm only going to kind of take a look at the portion of the decimal that is less than a whole, represented by the decimal portion. So Fred did 10 whole seconds and then 11 hundredths. Now this is a hundredths grid. There are 100 little squares. I'll call her back. All right, so we're going to mark off 11 of these hundreds. So I know that this is 10 in one column, so I can fill that whole column in. And then I'm going to just do one more up at the top. There we go for Fred. And for Tana, she ran the race in 10 and 9 hundredths seconds. So 9 of these guys would be all but one. And I'm going to fill that in. So by looking at these, I can tell that Tana finished the race first, right? It took her less time. And we're talking about racing. We're going to have the person who finished in the least amount of time. So Tana won the race. And if I want to fill this part in on my guided notes, I know that the digits in the ones and the tens place are the same, right? Because if you look up here, they both have a 10 in that whole portion. Therefore, I want to compare the digits in the tenths place, right? And so who had the faster time? Our girl Tana. Fred was just a little bit slower. All right, so that's the strategy of using a hundredths grid. Another way that we can approach this is by using place value. Now, we already know that the whole number parts are the same, right? We had 10.11, and then we had 10.9, right? Or 10 and 9 hundredths. So the whole number parts are the same, those tenths. The decimal parts are both to the hundredths. right? They both go to the hundredths, which would be these digits here. And I know that 11 hundredths is greater than 9 hundredths. Therefore, 10 and 11 hundredths is going to be greater than 10 and 9 hundredths. So using place value is another way to do it. Now for my favorite. When we're using the start at the left strategy, the one thing that you want to do is I'm going to just rewrite this a little bit bigger for you. And what I like to do is use my fingers to kind of go and scoop to the to the right rather, to see where my first digit is that is different, right? We want to notice a change where the values are different. So the goal here is to find where they're different. And the rule is to always start all the way to the left, to the left. You guys know that song that we sang? I don't want to sing it on video. All right, so we're going to start all the way to the left. I'm going to be right here in my tens place. I have a 1 and I have a 1, so they're the same. Moving on, in my ones place, I have a 0 and a 0. They're the same. Moving on, then I have my decimal point. Hi, decimal point, you're very cute today. And now I need to go to my next place, which is my tenths place. Oh, bell, bell, bell. It should go off. They are different. We have a 1 in the tenths place here, and we have a 0 in the tenths place here. A 1 is greater than 0. Therefore, 10 and 11 hundredths is greater than 10 and 9 hundredths. All right, so let's take a look at here. What did they want me to fill in? Blank tenth is greater. 11 tenths is greater than 9 tenths. Oh no, I know what they wanted. The 1 tenth is greater than 0 tenths. And then here they wanted me to write 10.11 is greater than 10.9. All right, so now it's our turn to try. Let's try this one down here. Let's start. I'm going to use the strategy of starting at the left because I like it best. It's easiest. So we're going to have a 5 and a 5. They're the same. So moving on. Now we have a 6 and a 3. Up, a 6 and a 3. I like to underline those place values. A 6 is greater than a 3. Therefore, 5 and 64 hundredths is greater than 5 and 39 hundredths. Let's try this out with a paper like this. You do not have this paper at home, so you're just simply following along as I go through. If you want to, just kind of shout out the answer if you can. So I'm going to always start to the left. I have a 0 and a 0. I'm going to go to my tenths place. I have a 4 and a 3. A 4 is bigger than 3. So there we go. See how easy this is? A 0. Ooh, I have a 2 and a 4. So I'm going to be comparing these two places. A 4 is greater than a 2. So bam. Let's go down a little bit. Okay, these may look very similar to begin with, but I want to show you a trick. So I'm going to start at the left. I have a 0 and a 0. Then I go to a 3. Well, they're both the same, right? All right, so let me keep going. There's nothing here, and there's a 3 there. I can put a 0 there to hold my place. Ooh, now take a look. I have a 0 and a 3. Which one is bigger? The 3. So 33 hundredths is greater than 3 tenths because 3 tenths is really like saying 30 hundredths. All right, let's keep going. Here's another tricky one. We have a 0, we have an 8, and we have nothing and a 0. Well, since there's nothing there, I can put a 0 there. And now, what do we notice? These guys are equal. Let's go on. We have a 0 and a 9. Well, a 9 is greater than 0, so 9 tenths. I can kind of go like that, right? 90 hundredths would be much greater than just 9 hundredths. Make sense? All right, here's another one. 0, we have a 2 and a 7. A 7 is greater than 2. Let's go up. We have a 0 and a 6. Well, 6 is greater than 0. We have a 0. We have a 2 and a 1. A 2 is greater than 1. Let's take a look at this one. Actually, you know what, guys? Why don't you write them down on your paper? And tomorrow, I'll go over the correct answers. So go ahead, take a minute, pause the video, write them on down, and then you'll have an opportunity to show me your answers tomorrow or the next day. All right, guys, that concludes our lesson on comparing decimals. Today, for your math work, you are going to be logging onto our Google Classroom and completing the assignments listed. I hope you have a great day. One more day until spring break. Can we do it? Yes, we can. All right, guys, have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.